Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Merry of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, highlands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Merry of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky.
Hi. I think that was a wonderful intro to what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
I think you all know the theme is all Outlander. And we're having Nadja here. Let's say hello to Nadja. Hello. Nadja.
Hello, Sean.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Nadja is Skyping in from Hamburg. Nadja is a good old tour guide friend of mine for years now. She's been traveling Scotland up and down again for years, not so much this year, obviously. Nadja is a wonderful singer, and Nadja is an absolute Outlander fan. So it was obvious that we had to talk about Outlander, and we want to know why. What is it about Outlander, and what are the places about mentioned in Outlander that brought you to Scotland? So over to you, Nadja.
Thank you very much. I would have to jump back a little bit in time in my life because I think I was 17 or 18 when I read the first book from Diana Gabaldon. Feuer und Stein in German, the first Outlander book.
Cross stitch, and I think it's in English. Cross stitch. Cross stitch.
It should be, yeah, I think so. Let me just actually check because I have it here, the first one. Oh, it just says Outlander novel, but this one actually.
Yeah, true, they renamed it. Actually, when I read it about 10 million years ago, it was called Cross Stitch. And now it's called Outlander, obviously, with the series. Okay, yeah.
So yes.
She's
also from Diana Gabaldon.
Woohoo! Check you out.
So I read this book and I completely fell in love with Jamie, of course. First of all,
who wouldn't?
But also with Scotland. How she described Scotland was just so beautiful. Even though you were freezing when you read it, and it was winter time, but in the other way, my heart just opened up for Scotland, and I was like, wow, that must be an amazing country. And then years later...
The thing is, she hadn't visited Scotland until the third or fourth book. So all she describes is from what, like, again, she wrote it about 30, 40 years ago. So she was in the library going through microfiche at the time and looking at maps and kind of making it all build up in her head. So that's the most amazing bit about it, because everyone says, yeah, it looks exactly like here, but she's never seen it herself. So kudos to her on that, yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely. And she made it clear in my head as well with these books, even though I hadn't seen anything of it. Yeah. And I was so in awe with beautiful Scotland. And the first time I visited Scotland was in 2013 because of Runrig, which has nothing to do with Outlander, of course, but Runrig is a big theme of mine.
It's
and these two
strategically
things
placed just up behind you on the bookshelf there. You can see the Runrig.
Yeah.
Very, very important two things for me and to change my life, actually. And when I went to the 40th anniversary gig in Europe or near to Inverness, I was completely hooked by by Scotland. And I knew down by my heart, I was like, someday I'm going to live in Scotland. I knew it. I didn't manage to live there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years later then, 2015, the first series came out, the first season came out of Outlander. And I was so hooked by all of this. And I went on Facebook into all these fan groups and everything, and there was one particular group where someone posted about an Outlander tour to go to the locations. And I was like, maybe they need German-speaking guides for the German guests who have knowledge about Outlander and of Scotland. So I was really fast on tipping my message to Pierre back then. He introduced me to Wind and Cloud Travel, and so yeah, the rest is history. Now I'm working in Scotland. I started in 2016, so this would have been my 5th season, but I'm going to postpone that to next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a homesickness for Scotland, so that's why I'm so happy to talk with you about it.
Yeah. We need to obviously say hi to Jim McGrath. Obviously asking you, who is your 3rd favourite bus driver? Who is your 3rd favourite bus driver? Answer correctly.
Yeah, so I can't really say right now because of all these changes going on. My 3rd one might be my 1st one soon again.
There you go.
You'll be happy to hear that.
Jim, if you
I can almost
you
hear
see
Jim's
that,
head swelling from here. So.
Yeah, if he doesn't see it right just now, we're making sure that he will have seen it later. So Jim, you're moving up on the list. Woohoo!
Yes, but I have to say I never worked with Sean, so Sean can maybe change the thing around again.
Okay, that's a very wise answer. Thank you for that. So shall we go on about your little trip around Scotland, because we made a virtual trip up, you guiding us along your favourite, not all of them are Outlander, but most of them are Outlander locations, and they're all beautiful and they're all worth a visit. We have some photos that he brought us.
Yes.
So shall we go along that?
Yeah, totally fine. First of all, you can start in Edinburgh as a base, because I know that there are a lot of things around Edinburgh already. So if you don't want to travel far, you can even just stay in Edinburgh and see some very nice places there. Craigmillar Castle, for example, has been used at Ardsmuir Prison. Or if you go down the Royal Mile and you're opposite of the Torbooth Tavern, you come to the Bakehouse Close, which is now very famous to be the Carfax Close. So it's Alexander Malcolm's print shop has been filmed there. Or if you manage to get a little bit outside of Edinburgh, I think it's southeast from Edinburgh, East Linton, you can go to Preston Mill.
Yes.
Preston Mill, there's this famous scene where Jamie is naked in the little river by the mill because he had to repair the mill, and everybody was like,
they were all hoping for a glimpse.
Did they actually had
Yes.
They actually had a GoFundMe that raised like a ridiculous amount of tens of thousands of pounds, and they're actually able to refurb and clean it up after the film.
Yes, and because of another flooding which happened there as well. And they had to close down if they couldn't have the money to refurbish it, and he was just on about it. And I think a lot of stuff happened with my Peak Challenge, which he is doing, where people can join and do their own sort of challenges during the year, and he raises a lot of money with that, yes, and he helps out, which is very, very good.
So there's this thing about locations. On the one hand, some locations are now, well, not now currently, but have been over the past few years, been very crowded with tourists now because they're all coming to see it. But on the other hand, for some locations, it's actually been the last straw to get funding really and like to survive, which is kind of, so that's good to hear. That's
very good to hear, and well, there's an upside and a downside as well, because when you come, for example, to Midhope Castle, when I visited Midhope Castle the very first time, also known as Lallybroch for the fans out there, there was nothing there. There was just this ruin, and I mean, I knew about it. Some fans knew about it, but now you even have to pay for parking, and it's restricted and everything.
Yeah, they have a
Which is good in one
ticket box there now, with a little security guy stands there, and you've got to go and pay, and you know. But I mean, the bonus is, I mean, you can't get the big buses down there, so you're not going to get the huge crowds there. You know, it's only cars and minibuses can actually get to it. So hopefully they don't go putting big roads through and huge car parks, you know, because it's literally just down a farm track. If you don't know where it is, you won't find it, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I was there even before all this big hype happened. I was there like literally after the first season came out, and everything was nearly unknown back then. And now it did change a lot, I believe. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hopeton House has always been a big tourist attraction, but, you know, you're getting that wave of Outlander fans now, even going to places like Hopeton House, just for that, you know, where they've actually got their own little guide now set up just to tell you where all the different scenes were.
But I think did we not go together to Midhope Castle?
Did we? Yeah, we did, I believe. Didn't we go to Blackness Castle as well?
I think so. Because you told me that there was the little alcove scene was also filmed right there, that we went down towards the river, like kind of into the bushes. Or I did that on your recommendation and you explained it to me so lively. Because I always feel like I've seen it with you the first time. But I'm actually not sure if we were actually together or if you just talked me through it on the phone and then I took someone there. I think that's how.
I think I talked you through the phone, and it was like you had Outlander people in your bus, and on the way back to the airport, you wanted to make sure they will see something. And I said about
that was another one.
Castle and everything. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Blackness Castle, by the way, Fort William, or used to be Fort William, which is close to Edinburgh as well. But there is a lovely tour around, let's say, the central of Scotland. If you start like from South Queensferry and go up north, and then you go over the Forth Bridge, which is amazing on its own anyway. But then you can just cross a little bit to the west on the other side of the Firth of Forth. Long time learning to say that.
Germans will be reminded of Loriot when you hear that. Yeah, it's not an easy one.
So you have Cross over there.
Show that picture now.
There we are.
Yes. And Cross is a really, really lovely, small, you could say a museum town, which has been used mainly for transmure. And so the cross you can see, and the house you can see, the house on, I believe it's on the right-hand side in my picture, if I remember that right, was the house where Gaius Duncan lived.
Yes.
And where Claire has been captured for the witch trial. And not even just for Outlander, the town Ross itself is so beautiful and so lovely, and all these cobblestone streets where you, by the way, can't take a big bus as well. A huge coach, just the main road if you're a very good driver.
Yeah.
And also the royal borough of Ross with a herbal garden. The herbal garden is just magnificent in the back of the borough, and this is where they shot a lot of season 1, where she collected herbs. I'm sorry for my English. And where she met Gaius Duncan.
Yeah, it's just like Ross is just so amazing because it's been bought over at the time by one of the Bruces, and it's completely preserved the way it was. So you just literally travel in time. So that's why, you know, as you can see by this picture, it looks, you know, that's how it looks today. But not much would have looked different, 200-300 years ago. So it is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun fact though, for the Outlander shooting, they painted the houses in a sort of grey, bluish tone. And so some people, when they're actually there, they don't really recognize or realize it, because they then painted them back to white to make them, back to how they were before. So I always, if I know I have people on the coach which are Outlander fans, because if you have 40 people, you might have 2 or 3 fans of Outlander, then I take them down there and say, oh look, this is the Kindness Mirror, and this is the Market Cross, where this young boy has been stitched to the cross and everything with his ear, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to have actually been there just after they'd filmed, so they still had all the bays of hail. So all the bales of hay there, they had the mud on the ground, and the places were all painted up, and the crew were just starting to take away the wooden platform as well. So it was sort of, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it was a good time to work in our industry when you see the filming. You know, it was even at Doon Castle, they had all the inside was all caged off. You weren't allowed to go in there because they still had it set up as it was for the film as well. So things you get to stumble across.
Yeah.
I come to a place like this where I have been, I think either just after shooting or just slightly before shooting. I think it was before shooting season 2, but this is a little bit back, a little bit.
Yeah, further down.
Later,
Exactly. Yeah, we have a picture
Yeah.
of you stumbling on something. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Kuros, definitely, a travel in time. So from there, where would you go next?
From there, I would cross to the east, so to Fife.
Mm-hmm.
I would go through Kirkcaldy, and just right outside of Kirkcaldy is Dysart. And Dysart looks actually a little bit similar to Kuros when you see the little houses, but the most important part for me there was Dysart Harbour.
Yeah. We've seen the picture of Dysart Harbour now.
Which is lovely in the summertime.
Yeah.
And the sun's out, and it's like the crystal clear water and everything. And you wouldn't think of this being France,
No,
wouldn't you?
no, definitely not.
But it's so amazing how the people in the background of Outlander, not the actors, but the people who built the places, that they really made it look like a harbour in France. And this is really amazing. And this is where all these things happen with the pox. And it's just, when I was there, I was just like, wow, it doesn't look like the harbour in the set, in the film set, but when you see a picture of it, and then you have another picture of Dysart Harbour, you stand there on your own, you can see, okay, this, they built up this over there, and they used this over there, and the ship was coming in, and it was just, for a fan like me, it was like in awe already.
Yeah.
But Dysart would just be, let's say, a little dare tour to go a little bit up north, to one of my favorite places, I think, which would be Falkland.
Yeah.
I
like
have to
Falkland.
say,
We'll show another picture here for Falkland, so people will immediately recognize where that is.
yes. I have many people in my coaches, when they know about Outlander and they come to Inverness, the real Inverness, they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't look at all like Inverness. And I always have to tell them, actually, Inverness has been shot in Falkland.
Yeah.
A really, really lovely little town. And I have to confess, I've never been to the palace yet.
Not a problem. They didn't shoot much inside. Anyway, so it's like when it comes to Outlander, there's not much. But it's, it's obviously worthwhile going in. It's, it's been restored, 200 years, or now 150 years ago, it was restored to the way it could have been 300, 400 years ago. So it's one of those things. It's kind of like Eilean Donan, which looks really cool, but it's not original. It's actually,
Yeah.
but it's still old. The restoration, again, it's like 150 years old. So that's in itself is really interesting.
Yeah, but Falkland's really nice, especially when you go around the market square where it was all filmed, where you see the ghost of Jamie going up to the water fountain there, and some interesting facts when you've been there a few times and you actually get to chat to the locals who live in the places where the filming was. There's the scene of looking up from the street and you can see her looking out of her bedroom window from the hotel, and you actually go to the hotel and you ask the owner, it's like, well, that's actually the shower window. So you can't actually, it wasn't actually filmed in that window there because it's a frosted window which backs onto a shower cubicle, and you're like, okay. So the amount of artistic license that the directors and the guys have in these films, it's quite interesting.
It is. And everybody like me had to do this picture as being Jamie Fraser standing on the fountain and have a picture from the back. I do have it somewhere in my archives as well, of course. So Falkland, very, very nice little town. And I've never stayed there overnight yet, but maybe one day I will try to chase it.
I don't even know if they have that many B&Bs or anything. I don't, I can't even, well, they obviously have that little hotel, so you could obviously stay in the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what's next after Falkland?
Falkland, I would go to Perth, and from Perth just slightly a little bit to the west again, to Tibbamore.
Okay, we'll show the picture.
Church.
Yep.
So that's Tibbamore Church inside.
Yes.
Again,
and everybody would recognize it immediately for the witch trial.
Yes.
This has been used for the witch trial. And you cannot just go there and go inside because the church is locked.
Yeah.
But there's someone living next door who has the keys for it. And I think I remember it right. If you pre-book for a visit, you can get in. So obviously people will ask, how did you get in?
Oops. So you didn't pre-book?
No, I didn't pre-book, but I was so lucky because there was just a group of Americans there. I think 40 people or something. And I don't know how the driver managed to get his huge coach park up there because it's really narrow out there, not really a parking space there. But I went in and I asked someone, and they said this will be open for quite a while because the one who has the key is up for shopping now, so you can sneak in for a little bit. And then he would come back in an hour or something, and then we would close the church. So I was like, oh, happy me! So I was standing there on the wooden thing, pretending to be clear, and I'm like, I'm not a witch!
So why don't we have a picture of that, or a little video of you claiming you weren't a witch?
Well, there was a picture of that, but the picture was dizzy because the one who took the picture actually didn't have a lot of knowledge how to take a good picture, so I couldn't use that picture.
Was she? Okay,
yeah.
Next time. We'll have to do it again then.
Okay,
so Tibbamore Church is one for insiders. Tibbamore Church isn't one where you should just rock up. You need to either phone ahead, make sure, or be lucky as you were, but don't expect to always be able to get into Tibbamore Church. It's a small, tiny little village church, and it's usually closed. So be aware of that if you're traveling on Outlander steps. Okay.
Definitely. But what is open? I think nearly all the time, and even if you just show up, it's definitely possible. If you go a little bit more northwest, I believe, it's Crieff. And just slightly south of Crieff is Drummond Castle and the famous Drummond Castle Gardens.
Yeah, we're showing a picture of that now.
Which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
It has been used in the season 2 for being Versailles, the gardens of Versailles.
Do many people know that? Was Outlander ever filmed in France? I don't think so. All the French scenes are also filmed in Scotland, aren't they?
Actually not. French scenes has been filmed in Was it Prague? No,
Okay.
it wasn't Prague. I have to think about it. If it was Prague, Budapest, something, it was more to the east,
Okay.
East Europe somewhere.
Okay, but not in France.
They never went to France.
Yeah.
Not in France. Definitely not in France.
But a lot of locations actually in Scotland doubled up for being France, like you were saying. Dysart Harbour is a French harbour in the series, and obviously Drummond Castle, a Scottish mansion house. But obviously the gardens, at those times they always made them to look like the big French gardens. So it's a good coincidence anyway. Yeah, and they're beautiful.
It is. So the location scout.
Yeah, that was
Pardon?
Deanston Distillery was also used as part of the French harbour side. The storehouses at the back, I believe, were used for some of the French scenes as well. So
I see, Sean, you did your homework.
That's it. I'm really a closet fan. Just don't tell all the guys.
Did you know that the Drummond family actually were Jacobites as well?
Ah,
there you go.
So there's a connection there. It goes round in circles. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
It sort of goes on in circles, yes, which is pretty easy in Scotland, I believe, to find someone who has been with the Jacobite cause. But
yeah, and you probably their cousin were on the other side. They were redcoats, so it's exactly royal. Yeah. So it was always either that or the other. Very true.
Oh,
okay, so from Drummond Car Gardens, you have another naturey bit to show us, don't you?
Yes. So if you pass Perth, then you go via Spoon Palace, just slightly a little bit up north. You come to the Kinclayton Bluebell Woods.
Yeah.
And bluebells are out in May.
Yeah.
And as you can see on the picture, it's like a floor of bluebells, which is amazing in the whole woods. And you would think, well, bluebells, I've never seen a picture of bluebells in Outlander.
No.
Yes, but season 4, when Jamie and Claire get their little piece of land, which is actually a huge piece of land, in the new colonies in America, and they go around their place and they sort of stack wooden flocks in to mark their area. They mark the witness trees. And in the Bluebell Woods in Kinclayton, there are these witness trees.
That's you in front of the witness trees.
Yay, the fun! So I won't say exactly where they are, because when I was there was a ranger over there. I asked him. He was nice to tell me, but he also said they're afraid of people flooding the Kinclayton Woods to see the witness trees. So he asked me to not go around it like, oh, it's there. So if people want to go, they have to find on their own. But I have to say the parking space is very small. And even with a minibus, you can't get onto this parking space because they have some sort of a height barrier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So no, I believe with your Mercedes you can get there, but not with a minibus.
Okay. Yeah, challenge accepted.
Very good. Or you have to drop off outside, but you cannot park a bus or a minibus over there. But a real fan has to go to the witness trees, I would say.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, so from there on, I would say you go to Pitlochry. Probably overnight stay over there. Pitlochry itself is such a very, very nice small town, small village, and from there you can go on with your journey. But I believe, to be honest, is it already 1:30?
Yes, you need to hurry up. But we have to come to where we went, because we took Sean's mum to Pitlochry first, but where did we take her then? And this is where you stumbled like this. We have a picture of what you saw. We didn't see that together, like this. That is Craignadoon.
Yes.
And you managed to see it shortly after it was shot, so you can still see the little sockets of where the stones were mounted, which is amazing.
Yes, I do believe actually it was before filming though, because I just remember there was a sign of the road being closed soon, and it was February 2016, and I believe they started shooting season 2, so it would be the part where where Claire comes back, or Galis Duncan goes, or something about that. I don't remember it exactly, but I was even excited to even find it, because back then they didn't know anything about it, and now you can go on Google, type in Craig Nadoon, and it will be marked, and you can find it. But back then, when I was there was nothing.
Nothing.
And it was the second day of.
You marked it on Google, didn't you? So we went by your marker and tried to find it, and we had the road, like we knew it had to go one and twice, and then it must be there, and then we remembered. And like if you see in the picture, in the end, like where the reservoir, that's actually not even a real loch or anything. They CGI'd Inverness in. So for people asking, they make it look like Inverness is lying, like at that, obviously it should be the Murray Firth, but I was always wondering, how does that actually work? Because you can't see down on Inverness in real life, right? So when we were standing there, I was like, now you can see what they've done there. So that's near Pitlochry on the way to Rannoch Moor, and it's very beautiful. And
I have to say, I didn't mark it officially on Google Maps. I just marked it for us to find it, but now it's on Google Maps officially as Craig Nadoon, so everybody can.
And to just say, so it used to be a old Roman fort, right? Or even a Celtic fort. I can't even remember now. It is an old hill fort, which is obviously derelict, and the trees have grown over it. But actually, it's a sheep farm. So you have to just literally walk onto someone's farm. So it's private property. So if anyone ever goes there, like absolutely be respectful. And if they don't want you there on the day, then you better leave, because it's someone's private farm. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And when I was there the first time, I wasn't even sure if I am allowed to go there. And then there was some sort of a ranger car coming up, and I was already like, are they chasing me now? Because I went on this and I was like, oh my god, but I need to go there. And
yeah, I think there is a sign on the gate on the main road just asking you not to block the access. So I think you can pull up safely, but just don't block the gate, because they need access to their farm. So I think that's the main thing. I think they've come to the realization that people are going to wander up. So I think with anywhere, when you're wandering in Scotland, is just be respectful and follow the codes. Don't leave any rubbish, and don't take your dogs with you. And if you open a gate, close it, things like that. So I think if people show a bit of respect and common sense, then people will still be allowed to go. But then, it doesn't take much for it to be ruined.
You saying this, there are a lot of places now where the Outlander fans are not showing that much of a respect. So it has a downside and an upside all the time. So please be respectful when you visit these locations.
Yeah, because basically if you're not respectful, you're ruining it for everyone else, because then people do get upset and they lock places down which otherwise would have been open for the public, and then no one else can ever see it. So if that's your intention, well, go ahead, be an unpleasant person. But if you really want to make it accessible to future fans, then be respectful. That's true. Okay, so we have 2 more pictures we need to talk about. I'm sure we'll manage. So we're showing the next one just now. That's the Highland Museum.
Oh, yes. This is just a little bit more up north in Newtonmore, and you can stay in Newtonmore as well if you want to. It's a nice little village with a very nice hotel where I stayed a lot of times. And I don't mean the hotel which is really opposite of the museum. I mean the other one.
They're all nice.
So the museum is free entry.
Yes.
But they obviously ask for donations, and I always tell my passengers that we go there, please donate, because it's, especially in Germany, it's not usual that you have a place like this which is free access for you. You should give something back for that.
Yes.
They also have facilities, toilet facilities, and a nice cafe, restaurant thing. So it's really good to actually stay nearly half a day or a whole day. And the important part of the museum, Outlander-wise, is when you come in, you have to walk about, let's say, maybe 7 or 10 minutes to the right when you come in, and then you end up in a sort of a wood, and behind that wood they have this lovely village, which is shown on the picture, which has been used for Outlander as well, when Dougal Mackenzie goes around to collect the taxes.
Yeah. And
Claire Fraser is doing the songs with the ladies while they walk the wall. And then she grabs the goat and wants to give the goat back to the lady with the baby. She cannot feed the baby, and she wants to give the milk back and everything. And then this red coat arrives, and I guess the lady okay and everything. And yes.
Yeah, not so just to clarify, the Highland Museum in itself is basically the Museum of Highland Life. So they've gone through all the ages and have recreated actual houses of people. So this one obviously is like a medieval village that's been completely recreated the way it would have been at the time. Well, not a full village, but at least like 3-4 houses. But you also see houses from the 1800s, the 1900s, or even like the last century. And like you said, it's all donation based, and it's wonderful to see, to travel through time. But obviously in the medieval village they were able to film. And in the cafe they show pictures of behind the scenes. So if you can't remember the scene itself, if you go into the cafe, you will remember, because it's all over the place. You can see what it looked like.
Yes, and also have some actors in that part, in this medieval part, some actors in the clothing as well.
Yes.
And if you have special questions, you can ask them. Maybe not so much about Outlander, though, but about the history itself. And they also, which I always like to do, they have a little basket full of clothes, so you can dress up as well as a Highlander or something and take a picture in this village, which is lovely as well.
That's amazing too. Yes, there the volunteers show you old craftsmanship. So I had a lady who was spinning wool, and you could actually learn how to do it from her. That, yeah, you're right. That's very.
All right, so it's very poignant at the moment. Now we are at the anniversary of the Battle of Culloden today.
Today, yes.
We didn't choose this on purpose. This has happened.
Yes, 274 years ago on today, 16th April, 1746. Actually, in the morning, so it already happened when you would say this was the
It's old news.
Yeah, old news. Yeah, right. The Battle of Culloden has happened, where Jamie Fraser fought as well. Claire Fraser didn't fight because she, spoiler alert, had to go back through the stones. And he kills Blackjack Randall over there, and which is not fictional. Well, Jamie Fraser is fictional, but the rest of all this Culloden story behind in Outlander is non-fictional, it's historical, and she made it historical-wise pretty well, I believe.
Yeah,
now
it's very accurate. Yes,
well.
She did, yeah.
It's very accurate.
So apparently she always used fictional names for things she invented, and she used the real names for things whether the actual story actually took place. So it's, even as a historian, it's very easy to kind of go through the book and know this is real and this isn't real. So she's done that really well. So Culloden, obviously, she's really stuck to the facts there, which is quite good. Yeah.
Yes. Culloden itself is a very, very sad story, and if I would talk about Culloden now and the Jacobite Rising and everything, we will sit here for hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they put on this battlefield, which has now a visitor center, and you can walk around the battlefield. You have these stones which are sort of marking the place, and which are, well, let's say some sort of gravestones for the clans and families who died there. And the picture I had for you obviously was the Fraser stone, because of James Alexander Malcolm Mackenzie Fraser.
Rolled off the tongue.
Yeah. So sadly enough, this is one of the places where the herd of Outlander fans sort of ruined it a little bit, because this stone had to be what would you call it if you put not a fence around, but because of the whole surrounding of it was just muddy, and there was no grass anymore, which is sad in one way, but in the other way, especially the Fraser stone, there are always flowers.
Yeah,
there are always flowers from the Outlander fans, which is very nice, I think.
Yeah, that's quite cute. Yeah,
and there will be a lot of flowers today, especially on the big cairn in the middle of it, the huge stone cairn. There will be lots of like
wreaths. Wreath.
A wreath, yeah,
and everything.
Yeah.
To mark the anniversary today. A very, very sad story about Culloden, definitely.
Yeah, so many people died.
But like I said, we would be here tomorrow, so still speaking about.
And no tears. This is a positive show.
Yeah. Okay,
cool. So we made our way almost up to Inverness, the real Inverness this time. So Culloden is not too far from there. And it was so lovely to have you on the show today. We were so excited. And I think, the Outlander books came to life a little bit, and you showed us your favorite spaces.
Yes.
What's your...
We've saved plenty more for another day as well. So, so many more places you can go and visit. And we can tell you how to get there.
I can talk about a lot more if you want to.
I'm sure you could.
Exactly. So, if you want to see Nadja again, you have to like this a lot, and then we'll invite her again for another show another time. Nadja, have so much fun in Hamburg. We say hi to Hamburg from Scotland, and we'll hope to have you in Scotland very soon once the lockdown.
And just a quick note, that was actually you singing in our little introduction as well. Yes. So it wasn't from a CD. Very talented lady.
Perfect.
Also known as the singing tour guide by now in Scotland, I believe.
Yes. We'll ask Jim who his favourite singing tour guide is. Let's see what he comes up with.
Okay, Nadja, I'm sure we'll see you again.
Yes.
And don't be a stranger to Scotland.
Yeah, so our next show is on Tuesday, 12 p.m, and we have Denise Medicamente, Scottish writer of children's books. So tune in for that. We'll have a teaser obviously soon, and we'll see you then. And thank you, Nadja. Brilliant show.
Sing me a song.